Right then, I get loads of awesome. Something, Saskia, I'm spoiling people this morning, So, like, so far already, we've had a girl called Anna on the show who's doing stuff around a project for children in bereavement. We've got a Trans Reflections podcast with piece with a lad called Dalton, who's absolutely amazing, and we're having a chat with yourself about music.
Yes.
And something, like I sort of feel as if, because when we reached out to do the audio piece, I had no idea we were trans.
Yes, I am.
I'm thinking under the Trans Reflections podcast as well.
It's very close to my heart, and I'm very much about equality, diversity, and helping people from underrepresented groups and communities from across the UK. So that is part of
if only everyone else said that, it would be all right, wouldn't we?
Oh, we'd living in a perfect world.
We'd be all right then. We'd be okay.
But that is part of the change, and it's all about representation, visibility, getting unheard voices heard, but in a creative and an imaginative way that's not kind of in your face, but fun at the same time, and kind of gives people that feel-good buzz. That's what I'm aiming towards, and that's something that I really am passionate about. I myself have come from a disadvantaged background and a community of many different intersectionalities, and I think also being trans and going through domestic violence and also being born to deaf parents has had a lot of impacts on me growing up and me kind of understanding the kind of struggles that people face in different levels.
Truly.
I'm biracial myself as well. So I also want to help kind of people that are also suffering from discrimination in any shape or form, because I believe we're all human and we all deserve to be treated with respect and dignity. And that's really what I want to do, is just give a platform to others as well as myself, to help them and inspire them. And kind of, I think there's a problem, especially with my generation, where I don't have many people to look up to or aspire to be like, especially not in the mainstream, And I think, like we was talking about earlier with Sophie, she did an amazing job of trying to get out there, especially for a Scottish trans artist as well. She was from the UK. We don't have, like, if you look at America, look at Brazil, look at Canada, they're a lot more advanced creative wise than we are in the UK, and I don't really see the reason for it.
Oh, so there is a reason, like from the late 60s till the 90s, there was a visible almost like erasure of positive trans identities, and it was down to, there was this book, actually. I interviewed Zoe, who wrote it, The Hidden Case of Ewan Forbes.
Amazing.
And what they call it, Ewan was a baron, and it come time for Ewan to take the baronship because his brother died, but one of his cousins challenged it in court, so it was heard in chambers, because Ewan was assigned female at birth, always identified as male. His mum got a note off the doctors and went and changed the birth certificate, give him synthetic testosterone, lived his life as a bloke. You know what I mean? Anyway, once that was done, although it was reported on at the time, there was never a big thing made of it. But since then, there's like they brought into the thing about primogenitor, where you have to be a male to take the title. Right. So if you think from the 70s all the way through to the 90s, what representation did we have in the media? We had Psycho wearing the woman's dress to do the killing. We had Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs. Pretty much like trans people were always portrayed as the butt of the joke or the dangerous killer and stuff.
I think and it's, the same.
So we're coming from a place and now of actually taking our space, because we've always been there. It's interesting when you say about intersectionality, because my father was born in Calcutta. So like technically I'm Anglo-Indian, but when you look at Anglo-Indian, there's a lot of, once people left India during the partition and they went to other countries, there's almost a physical like disowning of any Indian heritage that may or may not have been there, because just to try and fit into wherever you go. And I think that may be tied in with, I come out as trans in 2012. And I think that tied into some of the reasons why my family, like of that age, aren't on board.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's difficult. Do you mind us having a little bit of chat about your own background? Is that
Of
okay?
course. Yeah, of course. Which would you want me to start from the beginning? So I start from the beginning. So
I'll get comfy.
yeah, get comfy, get the kettle on, and we'll get comfy and have a chat. So basically, I was born to two deaf parents. So my mum, she's biracial. My dad's white, and they're both deaf and hard of hearing. They can't talk, they can't hear. It was a bit of a struggle living with them. My grandparents lived across the street, so it wasn't like far. They were fine. My grandparents, my dad's mum and dad, so they lived across the road, and I kept going. I had a very close relationship with my grandma. She was kind of like a mum figure to me, ever from a very young age. And I kept running away from home and kept going to my nan's and knocking on my nan's door and saying, "Nanny, Nanny, let me in, let me in." And my nan just used to grab me in, take me in. So after a little while, my mum and dad, one day I came back from school and my mum just disappeared. So I was like to my dad, "Where's my mum?" They was like, "Oh, she's gone." And we didn't know if she was coming back or not. And I didn't see my mum until again, I was about 17 years old, but I'll come back to that. So I came back home, my mum was gone. So my dad was like, "Right, I have me and my brother, we lived with my dad. We lived with him for about a year. He met another woman, she fell pregnant. And then we kind of were pushed out a little bit. I think she obviously was pregnant. She wanted to start a fresh family. We were kind of kids from another marriage. So it was kind of like we were seen as a bit in the way.
Yeah.
So we went to live with we got basically put into children's home for a little while, like foster parents. They were lovely. I remember they had a little riding school. So I used to do horse riding from a young age. So that was another one of my passions. And basically was there for about a year and a half. And I still used to have contact with my grandparents. They always used to come and see us at the weekends. And I used to say to my nan, "Please, please," I used to cry, "Can I come home? Can I come home?" And I think she just had enough of like me saying it. Because she was like, "I promise you will come home, you will." And one day she come and got me, and then she's like, "Right, you're coming with us." So I went and lived with my grandparents and my brother, and then we moved in, and I lived there until I was 17 years old, because they were getting on. They were quite old at the time. They took us on at about 60, 65 years old, they must have been. We were only like 10 at the time, so it was quite a handful, me and my brother. And then literally they took us on. So I was at school and they noticed I had a really good voice, a really good singing voice. So it's like, "Right, we want you to go for some trials, some voice trials." I was like, "Yeah, no problem." I had no idea what this was. I just thought it was me singing. So my teacher used to sit there and we used to go practice and go through these songs. And then I went for these voice trials and I didn't realize what it was. I just thought, right, I'm singing in front of this panel. It's a bit like, Britain's Got Talent. You stand there and you sing. And I remember the song I sung was "Oil in My Lamp." It was the song I sung. And I remember our teacher used to go through it. We used to practice different songs every morning after school as well, practice. And then I sung the song and they said, "Right, you've just won yourself a scholarship." And I was like, "A scholarship?" And it's like, "You've just won yourself a scholarship to Christ Church Cathedral School. It's literally one of the best choirs in the world." And I was like, "I can't believe it." And I said to my grandma, I was like, what have I got to do now? And she's like, "Right, you've got to go to boarding school now." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "Right, you've got to go to boarding school Monday to Saturday. You can't come home."
There's more than oil in your lamp.
Yeah, it was a bit like, okay, like my grandparents are really proud of me. I really just wanted to make them so proud. Do you understand? And I thought,
yeah,
wow,
of course.
But at the time, it was really quite heartbreaking because I've been away from family already before. And I kind of felt like I was away from family again. And I kept asking my nan, "Why are you doing this?" And she's like, "I have to." She's like, "Sometimes you've got to be cruel to be kind." And I just didn't get it. And she said, "I want you to be independent." She said, "Me and your granddad are getting old and blah, blah, blah." And she kind of had little chats with me. And I kind of got that. And I didn't get it then, but I do get it now. And I still kind of felt a bit hurt by it, to be honest. But I managed to get to travel the world. I went on world tours with the choir. We went to America, went to Canada, went to Austria. So we did manage to do quite a lot of tours and going around on Inspector Morse as part of the singing placements and stuff like that. We met Princess Diana. And then after that, I went on to another school and they continued to pay for my education. It was the Bottle Trust and another organisation that funded it, the school. It was kind of like a bursary and a scholarship, and it was for private tuition at a private school. So can you imagine, I went from being from a disadvantaged family with parents that couldn't hear to doing music, and then being from a really deprived family to going to a private school full of rich kids.
No, I get it. I have to butt in there. So you mentioned about meeting Princess Diana.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
that's something that not everyone can say. What was that like?
It was amazing. She came to the Deaf Centre because she was a patron, I think, for the Deaf Centre at the time, because she always helped deaf people
Yeah.
and marginalised people. And I was with my parents, and I remember she came up to me and she actually picked me up and she just held me in her hands, and I just had this big smile, and she was such a lovely lady. I will never forget it. I'll never, ever forget what a gracious, kind, caring woman she was. And the fact
You'll
that
have
she
that memory. You'll have that memory all of your life. That's
yeah, all of
amazing.
my life actually. And there was another time actually, even I think Bill Clinton came to Oxford as well. Another time when he came to collect his degree from Christ Church. He landed his helicopter in Christ Church fields, and we was all at sports. And was like, "Who's this big helicopter?" So we all went running over and I said, "Can't go anywhere near, can't go anywhere." And there's literally all the security and stuff coming out. So yeah, I left school and I can continue to do music. I kind of had a son when I was at 17. So I met this girl and we had a little boy. His name is Martel. He's now 21. So he's a big boy now. And then I kind of always knew I was trans, but I kind of had this, because I was living with my grandparents and I kind of just moved out at 17.
Yeah.
But I've always had this kind of fear that because they were older and they were more old-fashioned, that if I told them, they would disown me. And because of all the kind of the away from family and kind of had with family.
When you say you always knew you were trans, can you remember the first time it dawned on you what it actually was?
Well, wow, that's a good question. My mum always said to me when I was young, she always used to say, "You always put my high heels on." And she said, one day I can remember, you got the nail varnish and you glued your eyes together. And I was like, really? She's like, right, we had to take you to the hospital because she thought you was copying me she must have been doing a mascara. There's me, I picked up the nearest thing to me and got the brush and started doing my eyes. But didn't realize it was a nail varnish, did I? I glued my eyes together, silly girl. But yeah, I kind of, from a young age, I always used to hang around with the girls, be with the girls at school, kind of always, never really played football or had a friend that was a boy. It was always around the girls, always felt feminine. And at school, people always used to ask, are you a boy or are you a girl? Like, wasn't really sure. So I kind of was lucky in that respect. But then I think once I'd had my son, which was still very young, I thought, right, I need to try and be a male figure for him. I need to try and be a father for my son. It was really quite contradictory, and at the time it was very hard because I had to sacrifice myself for my son. Like, my son became the priority, not me anymore. So I tried for 5 years and it was really quite a struggle then, and I was getting like 24. I must have been about 24, 25, and I went to see a doctor. I remember I spoke to this South African doctor I explained my problems and she said, right, the only way you can do this is if you go away, live as a woman for 2 years and come back again. And I was just like, wow, that sounds really scary. And I thought, I can't do that on my own. There's just no way. So I kind of went away. Then I kind of just tried to suppress those feelings and tried to keep going along. I just finished uni and I was doing events, music and media management, and I started my management company then. I started managing artists, promoting artists, working with record labels, just kind of networking in the industry. That went really well. And then my partner at the time said she's pregnant again with another son. And I was like, oh, here we go again. And then we kind of we didn't see eye to eye from them because I kind of wanted to focus on career. She wanted to focus on another child, which was understandable. And I'm so glad I have 2 children now. But at the time I thought, right, I've got to try and focus on providing for the one we've got. But it was quite and with my trans issues that I not really disclosed as well, it was very tricky for me at the time. Again, I did another couple of years, and then it got to a stage where I thought, right, I've got to go back to the doctor. I can't carry on like this. And then I spoke to the doctor again. I was drinking quite a lot at the time, smoking cannabis to try and suppress the feelings, take that kind of anxiety away and just try and feel comfortable. But whatever I did, it just didn't make any difference. I used to have long hair, or I always have my hair in plaits in a bun. I'd always wear kind of unisex kind of clothing, like, sportswear, anything that was tight and fitted that I could possibly get away with as a guy, but I used to wear makeup anyway. And it was kind of like, it got to a stage where I thought, right, I'm going to speak to my kids. I can't do this anymore. So we went on holiday actually to Disneyland in Florida, me and my 2 boys. It was just us 2, the 2 boys and me. we went to Florida and I spoke to him on holiday and I said, look, I feel really, I'm at kind of a real point in my life where I'm struggling. And I explained it. My son was 10, the older one. My younger one was 5. Explained it to both of them, and the older one and the younger one, they were actually like really supportive. They came with me and they kind of helped me choose certain clothes to wear and told me what looked nice, and they were really, really supportive. As kind of the transition went on and the process began to happen, the kids were fine, but I think as the older one got to his teenage years at school, he did face quite a few problems with other children.
Yeah.
And I didn't think of these kind of things at the time. And it's kind of something that I blame myself for. And I wish I'd have kind of been a bit more considerate for his feelings, because I think I might have been a little bit selfish in that respect. Because I was quite out there with it. And
I mean, like to be honest with you, when we're looking at bullying in school, which goes on, you understand that. And like, I would never seek to take ownership of the blame because somebody's decided to act like an idiot and bully somebody because of who the parent is. Because I know, like, you know, like from from a trans experience, if you will, you know, it's like how else could it go without you actually being you? You know, and like you know, if he'd have been had people around him in school who weren't like of the nature to bully and rib and stuff like that, then that wouldn't have been an issue. So, and I understand the responsibility, because I mean, I've got 4 children. 3 of them are totally on board. My youngest is nearly 25, and I still feel guilty because I was more like a friend than a parent.
That's how I feel right
Because but I couldn't be me until I was me, and now I'm proper plugged in. I'm proper switched on, and I'm a lot more responsible now. But I had to be me to do that. So never beat yourself up over deciding to be yourself. No, it's like being unhappy that the world is racist. You know, I mean, we can't change who we are. Or we can just hope that other people aren't as bad as they put themselves forward.
That's totally true what you're saying, and I think
How was it panned out over time with your kids? Are they okay? Or?
Time it's all gone perfectly well. Like now we're great, we're absolutely amazing now. But there was that time, I think, with his teenage years and the school time that it did put a bit of a strain on our relationship.
Yeah,
Again, I kind of changed from being Paul to Saskia, and it was kind of like that transition for them, like being daddy to Saskia, because that's what they call me. They don't call me mum, they call me Saskia. And that was thanks to my friend, because previously, before, they were calling me dad. And some trans women still do that. But one of my other trans friends, she said to me, Saskia, you can't be going out and them calling you dad in the street. Everyone will start looking at you. And I was like, wow. I kind of said to them, just call me Saskia. But at the time, sometimes now I wish they would still call me that. But
that's another interesting thing, because just from my own perspective, I've never been the type of person who says, "Oh, you must call me mum," because I've got a mum. Even like whether they say her or not's irrelevant.
Exactly.
But like, you know, so that when they talk to me, they do call me Ellie. But if we're in public, like I've heard them refer to me as mum. Just because we're in public and they just don't want to get into that, and I quite like that. But deep down, I'm actually still proud to be the dad, and I'd like to think that they're proud that they've got a female dad.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like we do, like, you know, Emile Durkheim said language is a social fact. So we use what language suits us, and different families are totally different. I don't think there is a right or a wrong. It's just what works.
That's right. And I think it works for us. And I look at my children as they're open-minded and understanding and accepting of all faiths, cultures, religions, backgrounds. And I think sometimes it gives them an insight. I know it hasn't been easy for them and it is different, but like I explained to my children, look at me. I came from a family, like I did remember my son saying, oh, did I come from a dysfunctional family? But what a dysfunctional family really is just different. He looked at his different, and I think dysfunctional and different is 2 different things, you know. So I think we're a very functional family, and like his mum, she does music and she does catering, But I think at the time when other children kind of drum it into people's heads that it's not normal, it's not okay, that it can affect younger children. And that's something that I just have to be kind of, I think it was something that I really did miss as being a parent that I didn't see. And I think
Yeah.
that's,
No, for sure. I just feel that we can, hindsight is 20/20 vision,
yeah,
you know, and but the experience of your kids, like, you know, like being around and growing with you through your transition, then I'm sure there'll be other people who they know in their peer group who've had to face the adjustment of somebody close to them coming out as trans,
yeah,
and the experience that your children have had, I'm sure, has held them in really good stead in that point.
yeah.
You know, because like trans people have existed since the dawn of time.
That's right. That's
You know
right.
what I mean? It's
And
just,
my younger one, he really likes, he's very much into being creative, and he's very much like me actually. And I look at him sometimes and he very understanding, open-minded. He likes RuPaul's Drag Race. He's even got dressed up at times. And I said, you look amazing, you know, and he's very understanding and open-minded like that. And it's not anything that anyone's said to him, or do you know what I mean? I just think it's just the way he is. And I
I
think,
used to really like RuPaul's Drag Race, you know. I used
yeah,
to really, really like it.
yeah,
And Bimini was robbed still.
yeah,
But like I've said, but I look at some of the American ones and the English ones and the Australian ones and the Canadian ones, and I've watched them all.
yeah,
But I get so frustrated. I get so frustrated when the wrong person gets told to leave. And
I know.
I think Rue does it just for the sake of it. And I
Right.
find it so frustrating. I'm now putting myself on a ban of
Who's your
watching
favourite?
RuPaul's Drag Race until the series is over and I know who's won. Then I'll
Yeah.
go back and I'll watch it from the beginning. Because when I'm invested in the moment, I get wound up.
Yeah.
I really do. I swear. I like to horror. Do you know what I mean? It was the one in Cherry Valentine.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
great.
mean? There's some amazing, and
Yeah,
oh
amazing ones. I think Carmen Carrera was one of my favorites, along with
yeah.
Jiggly Caliente. Was it Jiggly?
I went back when I seen a bit of it. Some of my friends said go back and watch the first ever ones,
Yeah,
and I
the
did. And there's one there's not might be Maisie Green or something like that. I forget the name, but there's some really quirky ones on there on the first series that I absolutely adore. You know what I
exactly.
mean? But
Exactly.
for the American one, Tina Burner, I like Tina Burner. There's just something
Okay.
about her.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
because she has the red and the yellow, it's just like she was always an also ran.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, I can't. It's like politics, drag race. I swear to God.
Definitely.
So listen, my friend. I'm surprised. Like I'm not even going to ask how old you are, because you're still looking your 20s.
Sorry, I'm 37. Yeah, so
You're doing well for it, you know.
thank you. And then I got,
Everyone who I get on my show, everyone looks absolutely super glamorous. And I
oh,
always look like I've just been dragged through the back of an edge.
you look absolutely gorgeous. I'm sorry, I'm 38. Sorry, that was me. I'm adding it. I'm taking a year
Bless
off.
you.
Here, I'm
I've just noticed every time I do one of these, it's always, I like the back alley Sally, you know.
well, you don't. Thank you very much. You look lovely. And yeah,
Bless you. Checks in the post.
yeah, that
All
was
right.
it.
So let's talk about music,
Yeah,
because music was your first love and it will be your last.
that
Right.
is.
So we were talking. So tell me about some of the musical things you're working on or with.
So literally at the moment, so I kind of went through, I'll tell you my little bit of a story. So I met a guy and I was in a relationship when I first moved to London, because I moved to London originally from Oxford to pursue my music career. I kind of met a guy, and then it kind of knocked me off like focus, and I kind of got a little bit involved in a relationship, and then domestic violence. He went to prison, and then he came out, domestic violence again, he did it, went back to prison. Then I kind of realized that I need to sort myself out and get away from this guy. So I went
Yeah.
into a master's in international music marketing at Talyard. So when I started that, I started kind of working with other artists in the music industry, forming networking relationships with people, just getting out in the industry and kind of just figuring out, okay, where do I fit in the industry? Where are the gaps in the industry? And I think it was just a really good time to enter the industry because of the Black Lives Matter, and equality and diversity has now become a big thing everywhere. So they're trying to become more equal and diverse. And the music industry is full of a lot of white middle-aged or older men, and they're trying to diversify the music industry. There is a lot of LGB artists in the mainstream, but my argument was always there's never any trans artists in the mainstream. And it's about representation, it's about fairness, but there's also so many barriers to entry. We have so many more barriers that we face than the rest of the LGBT community face. And I think that helping the music industry understand that, but also having people like me that are in the industry, helping others understand those barriers, but also as a kind of catalyst and driving force for change, and to also help educate, inspire, and represent. So it's kind of like, I want to start my own artist development and management company, which I'm in the process of kind of formalizing at the moment. I have got my own project that I'm forming, which is this 3-piece multiracial trans girl band that's going to represent the whole of the UK. And also I want to kind of help underrepresented communities from all shapes, forms and sizes as well, access education, marketing plans for music management advice, and artist development advice, helping them with creativity, inspiration, connections, and obviously a safe space. So I'm kind of getting out there, trying to obviously meet different people from all walks of life, build allyship. I have another talk next week with a whole heap of business professionals. I do work with a couple of other MBEs, Carrie Grant MBE, she kind of helps with trans advocacy. And I also had a meeting yesterday with Joanne Mock, which was really nice. And it's just kind of nice to meet even you today, like just getting out, meeting other people in my community, you know, because building those ties as well in my own community is really inspiring to meet you, to see what you're doing as well and how inspirational that is.
Bless
you know,
you. I'm a poet and I put a few chords to it, and
wow.
I'm a songwriter.
You're a
You
poet.
said some other MBEs. Do you have an MBE?
No, I don't. My friend Carrie Grant, she has an MBE. She's also a vocal coach, and Joanne, she's also got an MBE.
Tell your friends with an MBE. I went to see Olga Johnson. She set up the first food banks it's Tunbridge Wells.
Oh wow!
And she got an MBE.
Amazing.
And I was talking to her about it. So I stopped at her place. She has this Orst house, you know, like the big windmill things, and it's also a cattery. Because I was working down there last year, I thought I've got to go and stay there, go and interview with her for the show as well. And we were chatting, so like, you know, the OBE and the MBE,
yes.
They say, so an OBE is for others' bloody effort, and the MBE is for my bloody effort. So tell your friends with the MBEs, well done, because they've got it on their own effort, apparently.
Oh, well done. Well done. I didn't even know that, but you learn something new every day, David.
Well, it's I don't know how true it is. But it was just as it was put across to me, I thought, there you go. You know what I mean?
Because
you see, I'm an old borough eccentric.
You're getting right round here then, because I love the old school. You can't beat old school, you know? Old school.
Yeah. So what have you got any music out there, Saskia?
At the moment, it's all in the process of obviously forming the group, and I'm obviously starting auditions for that group soon. So that's something to look out for. I'm also on LinkedIn and I'm on Instagram. If people want to find me, I'll send you the links to that as well.
No, definitely. Because what I'll do is when I put this up there, with your permission, I'd put this up there as a Trans Reflections piece. And so any links that you've got, we'll put them in on the piece as well. Do you know what I mean? And that'd be absolutely lovely. Yeah. So, I mean, I know around the country, there's a few different like trans artists, you know, like I know, like, you know, I know there's guitarists out there and different people. So are you pretty much reaching out for people?
I'm building a team at the moment. Yeah, I'm kind of building my creative team. I'm also kind of speaking with other artists as well, kind of other producers and songwriters. I'm obviously working with industry professionals and collaborating with them as well, across, that's in Canada, in Brazil, in the UK. So I am kind of working flat out at the moment. Sometimes it's a lot of hard work that goes in before you see the fruits to my labor, but I'm putting so much hard work in at the moment. I'm kind of getting some funding together to apply for the Arts Council Creative Development Loan grant thing that I can get. And I'm going to try and build a business as well. Like, so my next process will be auditions for the girl band. and start the business so I can sign the girl band to my management company. Does that make sense? So
Of course it does.
Self-manager, but also help other people at the same time. Because if I've learned the skills, I might as well help others, especially.
No, 100%. You know, personally, what's so like when I think of music for me growing up, I used to look my life away in David Bowie's songs. I was a massive Bob Marley fan.
Oh yeah.
And I had my 25 years in a cloud of cannabis blocking me out. So I relate to that. And in later years, I've become enamored with the music of Elliott Smith.
Oh yeah.
You know, so most people have never heard of him. It's ridiculous.
Amazing.
But so what about yourself? Like, what would you say your own personal musical heritage sort of is, or what's your genres what's on your playlist?
On my playlist would be female rappers. I'm very much into female empowerment. I kind of like R&B, hip hop, dance. I'm very eclectic, jazz, classical. Depending on my mood, I'm very much a mood kind of person. So if I'm in a really kind of dancey mood, or I'm clearing up the house, it'll be dance music. If I'm in the gym, it'll probably be a bit of something else. But I generally love music, like music that connects, that's obviously heavy, but has kind of meaning and tells a meaningful story and has a good connection to it. But I think everything that I will do for my own projects are going to be about real life, just about real life situations, social situations, political situations, all the things that we face. I think we need to tell a story, and we just need to show people
100%.
that, you know,
chatting with you now, you seem like to be a totally switched on, focused young woman who's sort of like who knows what they're doing. Do you think, in a sense, like if you didn't transition, do you think you'd still be sat there blocking yourself out? How do you think your life would have went if you didn't make that decision?
Very good question. I don't think I'd be here today. I think I would not be here. I would probably have been dead a long time ago, because I just couldn't do it anymore.
I think sometimes when we refuse the choice to be deep down who we know we are, I think then our own value diminishes. It certainly does. Our own self-worth as well.
Yes, it certainly does. And this is another thing that I want to also bring awareness to, is domestic violence, especially with trans women.
Yes.
I suffered domestic violence, and I accepted a lot. I took a lot that a lot of women wouldn't have took because of my situation and because of who I was. And I kept making excuses and saying, oh, it's because of this, oh, it's because I'm trans, oh, it's because da-da-da. I know it's hard, but it's not an excuse to let a man hit you.
No, it isn't. You know, I did a session 2 days ago for York University. They were doing events around Sexual Violence Awareness Week.
Yeah.
And the piece I did, it was like a 3-hour piece about changing the conversation around trans and sexual violence, and like, you know, because I mean, like before, while I was trying to make sense of myself, I didn't have full ownership of myself, and I didn't have a connection with my caregivers around me because I couldn't work myself out. So then with that detachment, I ended up getting myself into some situations that I'd have been better off not getting into, you know, like, so I'm a survivor in that sense. But then moving forward, I understand that when people come out as trans, I mean, like I was, after 10 years in transition, I managed to get my surgery last February. So I'm like a year nearly post-op. And, you know, for me, that's when I realized what gender euphoria was. Felt a weight lifting. Now I can't even remember what it was like pre-surgery, to be honest with you. But the interesting thing is, for me, is in this sense, it's almost a case of, I know that there's people will message me to come round and to do things and like all this type of stuff. And these people wouldn't walk up the street with you because you're trans. So, and isolation is a massive thing for trans. So I do believe that some of us end up falling into casual relationships rather than being isolated. And they can be quite abusive relationships. And I don't think we talk about this enough.
I totally agree with you. And I'm behind you 150%. I think a lot of it as well, it's like you said, it's the stigma around it. I've been with relationships where my partner's been fine with it. He's introduced me to the family, the mum's not been all right with it, or the brother's not been all right.
100%.
There's always someone somewhere that's not all right with it. And it can have an impact on the relationship. Not because it's the relationship's fault. It's kind of trying to be that normal couple and trying to be happy, but then other people are causing issues, and then it causes a disagreement, and then, for example, it can just escalate, and that's what most partners do, use as an excuse. Oh, it's because you're trans. Oh, because this. Oh, my friend said this because my friend said I'm gay because I'm with a trans girl, but like I'm the same as you, I'm post-op. So it's like sometimes I feel like I have to educate others to help them understand, and I think it is a lack of education, but sometimes it's out of malicious malice, and you can tell the difference. But I think, again, more needs to be done on educating, because we are very over-sexualized as well. You're either desexualized.
Oh, definitely. It's like you're on so many people's bingo boards, but it's a secret bingo board because they wouldn't openly admit it.
Yes.
I say to people, and I feel as if, I'm sure you'll agree with me. I tell people, because I support a lot of people in this area as well. I say to people, the best relationship you can ever have is with yourself.
That's right.
When you've got a positive relationship with yourself, then you're good to go. And then, and like for me, since I can't tell you the last time I was actually in a physical relationship. And because for me, it's not the most important thing in my life, but I won't just knock around mistake after mistake. I like to think more of myself than that. And that doesn't mean I'm not open. I'm totally open to the right people, if you will. But for me, I won't compromise myself anymore. Good. I think I did enough of that pre-transition.
I get you. I hear you totally. And I think it's about knowing your self-worth and knowing what you're about.
Yeah.
And I'll be totally honest, if I was in a relationship, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now.
Exactly.
Because I'm a lot
Isn't it awesome to be in control of what you're doing?
Yeah, rather than having someone else telling me who I can talk to, where I can go, what I can wear, even if I can wear makeup. It was just, even how long I could have my hair. It was just ridiculous.
Ownership.
And
your hair's amazing, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much. So yours is beautiful.
So, you're just being nice to me, but your hair's actually amazing.
I think you're a lovely person with amazing personality, and you're beautiful.
Oh, that's true. I'll take that, but you've got the amazing hair.
Lovely curls. I see the poodles walking down the street, and I'm like, yeah, that's me in the mornings.
So is my hair's naturally got a curl in it? Is yours the same? Isn't it crazy? People with curly hair like it straight. People with straight hair like it curly. People who are too white want a tan. Yeah. No one's happy.
And what is that? I always, what it's like, because I grow up and I'm the lightest one in my family, and the rest of my brothers and sisters, they're darker. I'm the one with the blue eyes. They've all got brown eyes. They've all got afro hair. I've got this kind of wavy curly hair. And it was just like, why can't I be like them? I'm like the white sheep of the family. I am, because
you're special. Because you're special, missus.
Oh, thank you. But I was like, see, but I always wanted to be like with the brown eyes and the curly hair. But hey, I'm happy. I'm happy.
You know something? I'm so pleased we've had this chat.
So am I.
I'm proper pleased. I feel like I've met a pal, met a friend.
You certainly have. And I'll give you
know something. If somebody wants to reach out, so if someone's involved with music and they're from a marginalized group, shall we say?
Yeah.
Do you have an email address that they can reach out? Because I might want to send you some demos or something.
Certainly, I've got an email address. I'll give you my email address, my phone number. I'll send all of that. Do you want me to read it out now? Or?
If you can say the email address now, then at least when people are listening on the radio.
Okay, yeah. So my email address is Saskhia. That's SASKHIA @gmail.com. So that's Saskhia, so that's SASKHIA @gmail.com. Thank you.
Awesome. Now, I need to ask you as well, Saskhia. So that name, because I'm used to seeing it without the H.
That's right. Yes.
Was that the added extra?
Well, yeah, it was just a little bit different, and it came from the name actually, because when I originally transitioned, I changed my name to Sasha, and I kind of didn't like it. And my baby and my ex-partner's children's mum said to me, why don't you choose the name Saskhia? And I was like, Saskhia? I really like the name Saskhia. And it kind of just started from then. But I didn't want it to be like everyone else's. I thought, right, let's just put the H in it so it's a little bit different,
Thing is, now when people see that, they'll know it's you.
They will.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, a bit more, isn't it?
When I do these, I always ask my guests to give me a song that they find empowering. It can be a theme tune for you, or it could just be a song that gets you up and going, or it's a song that you hear when you know you're having a good day.
There's
I'd like to play. I'd like to play it after this interview.
Chariots of Fire, actually.
Chariots of
Chariots
Fire.
of Fire.
You know, everyone has such eclectic taste. Last week I had Rachel Richardson, who works in the same area as me, doing that inclusion stuff and that, and she chose the speech from the Charlie Chaplin film, The Great Dictator. She said, "Does it have to be a song?" I said, "No, as long as there's no swearing in it, you can have anything you want." So like now I'm doing Chariots of Fire. Do you know what I mean?
It's a very nice
No
song.
one picks boy heroes anymore.
Well, it's girl power all along now.
You know something? It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. I'm so pleased that I can now follow your future. Because I imagine you've got some pretty interesting roads ahead for you, my friend.
Well, let's hope that if that pretty road works out, that I can put some of my artists your way again, and you'll get to interview some of these artists again from underrepresented communities.
You know something? You just send them across, and we'll have a chat. And when you're doing stuff, if you ever want an elder with a sense of humor and a guitar, I'll come and I'll host events for you. I'll keep them in line.
I'd love
Auntie
that.
Ellie, come on.
Yes. Come down, Auntie Ellie.
Get up on that stage now.
I love it.
Well, look, my love, you take good care and thank you very much. So we're going to play Chariots of Fire for you. Chariots of Fire. Yeah. And all there is left for you to do is to say, back to the studio.
Back to the studio.